Hey everybody, happy Friday. It's time for the Ask a Painter show. I'm Nick Slavik. I am the proprietor of the Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration Company, and I'm also the host of Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use my over 2 decades of experience as a paint business entrepreneur and a craftsman to answer any of your questions. And today's show, as always, if you're a homeowner, you can ask us anything you want to. This is the largest group of the most professional contractors and craftsmen in the world here. So you can ask any painting questions you wanted. Now, this is also for us paint business owners and us craftsmen too. We can talk coding science, entrepreneurship, marketing, accounting, whatever else you want. So today, special guest, my wife Tootse.
Hi.
She agreed reluctantly to do this. This is not some sort of ISIS video where nobody's holding a gun behind her in order to say the right things. And I just thought I would bring her on and we would discuss sort of the journey of the last 10 years of us creating a business, a family life, this and that. So anything you guys want to ask down here, you want to ask my wife, you want to ask me, just type it in down there, and we'll. I have a few questions that we're going to go through, but otherwise we'll just kind of scroll through, and as people are watching, we'll start taking some questions. So the kindest thing, Chris Shank, thank you. By the way. The kindest thing you guys can do for this show is to pass it along. So like it, share it, get some other people on here. If you know a really good painting contractor, a craftsman out there, share this show, tag them in it so we can get them on here and we can start discussing. So Chris Shank, you're doing great so far.
Thanks.
Okay. Juliano Alcantara and all my friends from Brazil down there. Bom dia, everybody. You got anything to say in Portuguese to that?
Hi.
No, I'm not any good at that stuff.
You didn't prep me
either,
for that. I wasn't prepared.
Okay, so basically, we should probably tell people, like, how did we meet?
Okay. We met. How many years ago was it? Well, we'll be married.
For me, it seems like not that long
years.
ago.
Okay.
For you, it probably seems like 100 years. So.
Okay, I think we've been together for 15 years. So I went to school in college about, an hour and a half or so from where Nick grew up. And I think it was my junior year of college. Mm-hmm. I had just actually met someone, a friend from New Prague where Nick grew up. And then she ended up having a second friend that was transferring into that school, and we all got together and rented an apartment together. So I was living with 2 girls that actually were classmates of Nick's from high school, and Nick was in the military at the time, and he had come home for some R&R and came up to visit his college friends, and I just happened to be their roommate, and that's how we met.
So, it was great. By the time I left the college up there, you had agreed to make me Rice Krispie bars.
Yes.
And write me letters. And
Yes.
So I went, where did I come back from at that time? Was it Iraq or Afghanistan?
Yeah. He had just come back. You had just come back from Iraq. I think, what was it? You were home in the States for 6 weeks, and then you were deployed again to Afghanistan. No, I'm sorry. That's mixed
Opposite
up.
way around.
You were in Afghanistan. I met you after that, and then a couple weeks later, you went to Kuwait and Iraq.
And I couldn't wait for the letters.
Yeah.
I mean, we had
old school letters. We used to write them on pen and paper.
And when you're talking old school letters, the military gave me those envelopes with the red, white, and blue stripes on them, so
awesome.
They looked like 1910 sort of stuff. And the good thing was that I had just met you. I was super excited about, oh my God, I go back. Now you're sitting in the desert, face full of dust, 140 degree sun beating on you, and they were like, hey, you can send as many letters as you want for free. So I was just like, all right, here we go. I just stacks of letters like this every day. At this time, there were cell phones in existence, but you couldn't. There was no way you could communicate any way.
Yeah, you didn't have your own laptop, your own phone. So we were able to communicate that way a little bit, but it was really sporadic. So I know that in your time, it was like the middle of the night, and you wouldn't call me, but it was planned. Like he had some secret secret phone he knew of on the base.
Oh, this is the greatest. I would go back to Kuwait for some R&R. So we'd leave the desert of Iraq completely red in the face, 140 degree sun. I've lost 30 pounds of water weight from standing in the desert and staring at the sun. And you go back to Kuwait and you hear tell through the grapevine that there is a phone that some you know, because there's the medics in the Army, there's the guys with the guns, there's the helicopter pilots, but there's also the communication guys, and they know how to set up networks and phones. So we hear tell that there's this old rotary phone like attached to a wall, and somebody got it to call the States. And there's a network of, if you call military base to military base, you can call anywhere in the world for free. So 4 connections, I could get back to Fort Snelling here in Minneapolis, and then they would dial my local number. And so the middle of the night would be it
was like afternoon
you said,
for me, I think. But it was always planned, so I was expecting it, and I would skip class or plan my day around it.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
I was always home. I was always expecting the phone call.
So in the middle of the night, in these huge warehouses where they would just keep us there in the night, you know, there'd be this secret phone, and the secret line would start forming in the middle of the night. So you'd be standing there, it's like 1 a.m, and there's 20 guys in front of you, and it's like this self-governing thing where everybody got like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something, or 15 minutes.
It'd be longer. We talked as long as we could.
Sometimes, you know, if because I was an early riser, I'd go there 3, 4 in the morning, and there'd be nobody there. Everybody would be sleeping, so I could talk for an hour if I want. But yeah, we'd have this self-governing thing where somebody'd have their watch out. They'd be like, 15 minutes, you know? So you'd get off. But yeah, you could connect all the way through there.
Yeah.
And boy, that was...
Yeah, it definitely is not what it is today.
Oh, it feels like 1,000 years ago.
Smartphones and,
it's amazing.
Easy access, yeah.
So then what happened? So we corresponded, and then I was getting towards the end. I enlisted for 4 years, and I enlisted in 2000. 9/11 happened, and then I world tour, and then shortly after that, I came home. Right, like we didn't meet that far before I got out.
Yeah, I met you in March, and then we communicated, you know, old school like that until. I think it was October or November, and then you took a leave and you came home for 2 weeks. Do you remember that? And then you went back, and I think you were there till the following February. So you were stateside, but you weren't out of the military until June, I want to say.
Yep.
And so then it was kind of like a tag team. I think I came and visited you down to Fort Bragg right when you came home. I think the next month you came back home to Minnesota. And then I know I came down there a second time, and then you were discharged, and then we road tripped back home, and then he was home.
That's right.
So
that was fun. And when we got back home, you still had some college, or were you just graduating?
Yes. No, I had my last year of student teaching, and so I actually joined a program through my school where I could student teach in Minneapolis, and then Nick moved back to his hometown, so we rode a half hour apart. So I stayed at my mom's during the week, and I did my student teaching in Minneapolis, and then I would come down and spend the weekends down here with Nick for that year. And then after I graduated, we bought a house together here, and then I got a teaching job down here.
Yeah, which was great. And the funny thing is, tell them about your first classroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So since then, there's other elementary schools that have been built in our town, but the first elementary school where I got my first teaching job was where Nick went to elementary school, and I taught kindergarten, and the classroom that I was assigned to happened to be the classroom where Nick attended kindergarten, so that was kind of fun.
That was awesome. So we had bought in a house together, and at this time, I had started college, and I was working for the family painting business a little bit, and I was bartending on the weekends, right? So basically, we bought a house at the height of the market.
Yeah, wild and crazy and backwards.
And this is at the time where if you walked into the bank and they checked your pulse and they'd be like, "Nah, here's $400,000. Just take whatever you want." You know, it's and it's. I mean, for people who had jobs and stuff, you can always pay it off. But a lot of people didn't, and thus the housing crisis. But we got lucky that everybody sort of knows me as the old house guy in New Prague. So when a realtor had this beautiful 1917 Craftsman, almost untouched home coming up for sale, the realtor just went to me and said, "Hey, even if you're not going to buy this, at least come take a look." And looked at it. We weren't even looking for a house. And as a matter of fact,
have a plan.
You didn't even know, really, did you? Like we just like. The guy came to me, I looked
at
it,
Nick
and we
sort of like,
and I sort of like, "Hey, we're gonna buy a house."
Yeah, Nick went and saw it with his dad, and then he was like, "Hey, I went and saw this house today. I really like it. I want you to come down and see it." So I came down, and it was so funny because we were just like, "Okay, let's buy a house."
Of course. So I mean, at that time, were you thinking like, "Oh, this is getting real now," like, were we already past that?
Everything just was so natural. I don't remember it feeling scary or weird. It was just very like. I mean, maybe against my parents' wishes, but
Well, and listen,
it was
funny,
just the next natural step. I was graduating college, and I, needed to
Yep.
move on and make the next step in my life, and it just seemed like a natural next step.
two funny things about that. The second I left that college up in St. Cloud and went back, I had just sort of assumed we were going to be together forever.
Yeah,
and I think
it was
you
just
felt that.
really natural. Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't
But
think like.
just remember, I had to break up with that boyfriend first.
Mm.
I was dating someone when I met him, so that ended, and then
It was funny how that works. And then we had, because we're you have sort of a German background.
Yeah.
We have a very strong Czech, German, Irish background here. I mean, my last name is Slavik, and we live in a town, Prague, New Prague, named after the capital of the Czech Republic, and it's thick with Roman Catholic stuff. And all of us were raised strict Roman Catholic. Oh, your mom's on there too.
Oh, hi, Mom. We love you, Nick. She says, oh.
Okay,
funny.
so we very strict,
Catholic,
very
yes.
strict Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
My grandma has 13 kids in her family. One of her sisters lived over there, and she's like a second grandma to me. And she quit talking to us for a while because we were living in sin.
I know.
We lived in the house together before we were married.
Yeah.
On our wedding day, she came back and started kissing us and hugging us, and we got accepted back into the thing because we were not living in sin anymore. So that's kind of, that gives you any indication of what we grew up in, but that's awesome. So then, I mean, we're basically doing this. You were my sugar mama for a while. You had a job, and I was bartending on the weekend going to college.
Yeah, well, yeah. We weren't married, so I guess you didn't really reap any of the benefits.
Well, you were still the only one with a real
I
job.
had a good job. I was
Yeah.
a teacher, and I had
You had a
benefits,
great job.
and-
I mean, you got what better way to get introduced into New Prague than to be a elementary teacher in our town? You know.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I would have hated living here if I didn't have that, because it's an adjustment. It's a small town. I grew up in a suburb about a half hour away from here, where everything was just available to you at your fingertips. And I got here, and I was like, "Where's the Target?" Everything was a half hour away. It still is. Yes, but getting a teaching job here and making my own connections and establishing myself as an individual, other than Nick's girlfriend from the city.
Yeah, that's right.
It was really helpful, and just kind of gave me my own space or whatever here. Now I love it. I wouldn't go back to the suburbs if you paid me $1 million. I love it here, and
Nobody's forcing you
and
to
now
say
I
that.
secretly love those half-hour trips to Target alone with other kids.
All right. Sorry, I'm getting a message there. And any questions you guys have for me or Tootse, you let
What
us know.
grade did you teach? I taught kindergarten.
The easy
Yeah,
age,
I'm licensed, or I was licensed K through 8, but kindergarten was my desire. And when I was interviewed, there were several open positions. I think there was kindergarten, 3rd grade, and ESL teacher, English as a second language. And when they offered me the position, I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then I was like, wait, which one are you offering me? I would have taken any of them. But then they said kindergarten, and I was super ecstatic. And they loved it. And you guys want to know a super crazy thing? My very first class of kindergartners are seniors this year, and they're graduating. So that makes me feel really, really old.
But that must be a big milestone in every teacher's life.
Yeah,
Your first class are now like, they can buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
You had Bargain Betty's, but not Target. Yeah, those aren't comparable. Oh, that's
Jen
Palmer.
Bond's watching too, yeah.
Too funny. So it's fun. I actually, I'm, very friendly with a lot of my former students and their parents, and as they're preparing for graduation and pictures, digging for pictures, I've had some of the moms message me pictures of like their child and I, 15 years ago now. And I just look like a baby. I'm like, oh my God, I was teaching your kid. I'm sorry. Like, I was so young. And
awesome, awesome questions here, guys.
Okay.
Jen Bond, will I be doing any more ugly bathroom redos? Yes, that was awesome. I got such a good response from it. We'll be doing that again. I will announce that shortly here. Christian Militello is a painter friend of mine from Massachusetts. Him and his wife work in the business, so I was hoping that he would chime in. Have you ever thought about working with Nick?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. We're kind of in the thick of it right now, raising kids. We have 4 kids that are 9, 7, 5, and 2, and I stay home full-time with them. So at this point, it's not something that I could go to work with Nick 9 to 5 because our kids are really little. 2 are in school, 2 are not. But we've definitely kind of explored all options of how I could be a part of the business. And we've kind of talked about once the kids are all in school, what do I want to do? And I get actually asked that question a lot if I'll go back to teaching. I have my 5-year-old will go to kindergarten next year, and then I'll just be home with our youngest for about 3 more years before she'll be off to school. And it's funny that people are already starting to ask, like, what are you going to do? I'm like, just taking it one day at a time.
I think that'll be figured out for us, probably.
Yeah. So to answer that for everyone, I don't think I'll go back to teaching, not right away at least. I still want to be available to my kids before and after school, but it will definitely open up a lot of free time for me, where I'll definitely explore those options, and I'm sure that naturally I'll fulfill some role in Nick's company, maybe a minor one at first. And
well, the good thing is that it's awesome that we've created this sort of weird thing that we can mold and shape into anything we want. So it could be something, it could be nothing, but it's just nice to have an opportunity. You know, so we have no predetermined thoughts about what we really want each other to do. It's just nice to be like, as long as we're moving in a direction like this, it's so fun to just be nimble, and especially time with the kids and stuff too. So I'm going to try to keep up. The questions are coming in really great here. Christine O'Connell, Nick, when did you decide to take on the business owner life? And Amy, when did you quit your teaching? Okay, quickly, I graduated college after the military. And I was going to join the family business, did not join the family business, started my own, and it's been 10 years now. So it was sort of a surprise for both of us, really, that I started my own business. And originally, there were 2 Slavik painting companies in our town of 7,000 people, and we lived 6 blocks from each other. So we had a lot of marketing that we needed to do to overcome that sort of thing there. So, and when did you quit your teaching? Yeah,
I taught for 4 years. Then I got pregnant with our first daughter. I went back to teaching after I had her. And I just really, I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be home with our daughter. It was always our plan that I would stay home eventually. So when I got pregnant with our second, we decided that we could make it work and that I would stay home. So I took a leave of absence for the first year just to make sure that it would work for us, and that's what we wanted to do. And then during that year, decided that that was where I wanted to be, and so I resigned. It was really hard. It was a really hard decision because I just put myself wholeheartedly in everything I do, so it's really hard to leave. But I'm really happy and grateful for the time that I've had.
Especially that's your connection to the outside world too. You know, I assume it can be insular.
It can be. And some days it's a little hairy and lonely sometimes.
Spring break.
But I've met a lot of new people and made a lot of friends in our town, and we make it work.
Russ Perry, do you have to wait an eternity to get your own house painted?
No, it's actually quite the opposite.
You have to pull back on the throttle sometimes, because I got all these fantastic ideas on what we could do.
So an example, like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I don't even know. We had some wallpaper and some painted ceilings, and I was just like, Nick, I'm kind of tired of this. Like, I need something different. And it was like the next day, he had his guys in the house, and they got to work. So it happens pretty quick.
You told me you were a little nervous for this. I was a little nervous to have somebody else touch my house.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was, I think, the second time you had your guys.
Yeah, it's like, that's a huge, like, it's just like if you stepped out of your classroom, but it was your curriculum and you had somebody else teach it. Right. Like, especially your own house, like, that's intimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I trust all my guys, but it's a big step in a life like mine where I actually didn't do something on my own house, which is... It's the strangest feeling ever. Yeah. So I'll try to keep up with the questions here. You guys are good here. So glad you came back to New Prague to teach. Oh, yeah, Jen was actually a teacher with you.
Yeah, I met her my first year teaching.
Some of our best friends, too. Mike Katunis. Mike is a guy that I correspond with on social media often. Met him in person at the last expo. His painting story about growing up, starting a business is exactly ours.
Wow.
His
Very
family, his everything, and we had the greatest conversation one night. So the parallel stories of our families is getting scarier. My wife was a sugar mama when I started. Mike, what did we do wrong? We should have just stayed. I could have been a bartender still, yeah. So Josh Erickson, Allie, their daughter Myra's watching. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, guys. Do you know Emily Haynes?
No, I don't think I do.
I'm correspondent online. Brandon Moore. Is this where Surfer Boy? Yeah, this is. Okay, so.
Yeah, he probably looks the most like me when I was a child.
Luckily, only one of our children looks like me. The rest of them have been, thank God, they all look like you, and they got this blonde, beautiful hair, especially Surfer Boy. I mean, this kid is a Southern California kid. He should not be a bohemian boy from the middle of Minnesota and farm country, so. Rob Grant, Palmer. Oh, what about your engagement on the road trip? We'll make a real short story.
Okay.
Do you wanna?
So Nick's grandma lives out in Washington State, and she was downsizing to a condo and had a whole bunch of family heirlooms, furniture, and other small items that she wanted to pass on to the family, and didn't have room for in her condo. I think she was like renting a storage unit or something. So she wanted to give it to us, and through the process of trying to find the easiest way to get all this stuff, we determined that Nick and I were going to drive. How long was it? It was, I don't know. We drove straight there.
Like, what, 14 hours?
From Minnesota. I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
And I had finals like Monday.
Yeah, and I think I started the school year, my second year of teaching, like the week later. It was, because I know I'd already been in my classroom setting up and stuff for the year. So anyways, I missed my best friend, Jen. Sorry about this. Missed your bachelorette party. Do you remember that? Because I didn't want Nick driving across country alone, so I tagged along with him. We drove straight from Minnesota to Washington State. We loaded up the back of his truck with all the things that Nana wanted to give us.
Antique heirloom furniture, and
I think we showered, we ate, we were there for like 4 hours, and we turned around and drove straight back home. It was, what young 20-year-olds would do.
In a single cab, long bed, Dodge Ram, V6, no
topper.
No power windows, no topper, no cruise control.
Prayed it didn't rain and that we didn't damage all this antique furniture
that was fun. And on the way back?
Yes. So this was so funny. So we stopped at a rest stop, and I went in, used the bathroom. I washed all my makeup off my face. Like, I think I changed my clothes.
We were going heavy on sweatpants, t-shirts, because we were just like,
I come out of the restroom at the rest stop and turn around, and Nick's proposing to me with no makeup on. So thanks.
So in typical 23-year-old man fashion, we drive over, the Continental Divide, and it was like, I'm looking at the times. I'm like, man, it's going to be like sunset, and it's like we're going to be at the top of a mountain. And of course, when we got there, when the time was coming, I was getting real nervous because I had the ring like in the glove compartment, and the sky turned black, and it was the hardest rain we've ever seen in our life.
Yeah, on the way there.
Yeah, so it's like, well, okay, I'll get it on the way back.
Yeah.
And so
it's like, I better do it now.
So, anyway, I'll try to catch up with here. Micah. Micah is one of Jason Paris's.
Oh, not Micah that used to work for you.
No. He's actually joining the Jason Paris group there.
Real job. Too funny. No, he's the sugar daddy now. I stay home, I don't work. As far as a real job, no, I really like the flexibility that his job offers. We've made it what it is today. And it's really flexible. We can take time off when we want to. We can power through when we want to. So I consider it a real job.
And it's funny because it's so ironic. Micah, the reason he's asking that is because he was the head of admissions at a private college and is now working with the brain trust at Paris. So
sometimes I do think it would be easier if he had a cut and dry 9-to-5 job, especially because we have 4 kids, and so it takes some planning to juggle their schedules and activities at night if I need to be in more than one place. So sometimes the predictability of that would be nice, but I don't take what we have for granted, and I don't wish that you were in another profession.
And we're gonna get to the changes that have happened, because I've had my business for 10 years now. I'm gonna catch up with questions, then we'll talk about the actual painting business side. But 2 years ago, give or take, we had the reckoning. that I call it, where I lost my 3 employees and I was down to nothing again.
Yeah.
And then everything in the world has changed since then. We'll talk about that. I'll catch up with some questions here. Oh, Rafael D'Souza, powerhouse. Rafael is one of the great painter friends. I see him at Expo. We correspond online. One of the nicest dudes you ever want to meet. So, Christian, when Nick first started all the Facebook stuff, what was going through your mind? What did you think of all that?
Oh, everything has just been such a natural progression. So, I guess it just seemed like the next logical step. It does blow my mind a little bit when things like This Old House contact him and want to partner with him. Because like that stuff we used to watch together.
That's real.
Like before we had kids, we would like binge watch that. So that kind of blows my mind. But I don't know, I think Facebook is just such a natural part of our society today, and so it just seems necessary and a natural progression.
We caught it at a good time too, because I think I've only been on social media for 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
So I started a painting business, and it's funny, like to be a legitimate business 10 years ago, you call up the phone company, which is actually right across the street. You get a business line, so you have a local 758 number, and then you put an ad in the local paper, which is 2 blocks that way. And I grew a business off of that. I was overwhelmed with business, and you were on social media first, and then I was like, oh, what a every other guy, oh, what a waste of time. And then you get on, and all of a sudden it's like
for a while. Yeah.
So the good thing is that I started 8 or 9 years ago, and you just build a critical mass over a while. And like you said, it's like, it just felt like you should have been doing it 6 months earlier every time we've done something like that. So, and the advent of, I actually first started talking to other painters. I first got introduced to the PDCA.
Aspect is huge.
And Facebook Live came on all at once. So it was just like, there was a sudden need for it. This was easy, because before everybody was like doing a bunch of filming. And then you'd have to edit it, and then sound, and then cut, and then put titles, then post it, then hope that somebody would find it on YouTube. And here, when I do an hour live show, I have an hour and 8 minutes invested into it.
Right.
You fire up this thing where
it's all right there.
You used to have like Channel 4 used to have a van with a satellite dish on to do this. Now it's like everybody has this in their pocket. So
funny.
Sorry, I'll try to catch up on Chris Mole. Chris Mole is an English dude who's living in northern Minnesota, a painter.
Okay.
And he may be coming down with his wife next week
to
have dinner with us.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to. One of the best looking dudes on the face of the planet, and with the English accent is awesome. What do you guys like to do for fun without the kids? Your favorite date night?
Those are few and far between. What is our favorite date night?
Personally, antique stores.
Yeah.
And old houses, old stuff like that.
Nick doesn't like to do anything where we can't talk. So like we don't go to movies. It's like, I'm not paying someone to go sit and not talk to you. So usually we end up getting dinner. We go to a brewery or something, and then we try to find something interesting to do.
And we get it like 6 or 8 months. We'll get a night out. We really don't have a lot of family and stuff to watch our kids. So every 6, somebody's probably calling, I see you on Facebook. Every 6 or 8 months we get to go out for an evening or a partial day, and it's like the thought of going to sit in a movie theater and basically watching TV. So basically we use that to catch up on 6 months. We're hammering out like, oh my God, what's happened in the last 6 months? And so it's that's what we like
so
to
today's
do.
Unusual for us. We have a sitter with the kids today. My niece is over at the house with him. So
nature stuff too. We do lots of nature stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Books and things too. We like that stuff. Sherry Ishins. Oh yeah, Sherry. That's our neighbor farmer out in St. Benedict. Yeah. Elias, Delana, you are very.
Who says we're elegant?
Eloquent. Dude, you're very eloquent. No wonder you have all the success. Oh, thank you very much. Geez, that's really flattering. Yeah. Oh, Susan, welcome.
Hi, Sue.
Being home with the kids has created a big benefit for Nick, like personally delivered picnic lunches, enjoyed the clients' yards. Not only are Sue and Palmer, the husband and wife team here,
some good friends of ours.
They're the best. And Palmer and Sue are business advisors to us, and they're friends. And we're actually going to pick up a new company vehicle from Palmer right when we're done with this. So date night, we get a new van. So and I agree. And one of the greatest things in the summer is you take the kids around to the job sites. And back when I was slaving away with the guys, you guys would show up, all the guys would come over, we'd have a picnic lunch, and let the kids play with the paintbrushes and the rollers.
Yeah, and, they like to come.
I know the kids like it too.
Yeah. What did Jen say? Oh, I do. Yeah, about her
missing
her party.
Cynthia Reynolds, are you kidding? Being a stay-at-home mom is the hardest job out there. And Amy has a cakewalk compared to the responsibility. Oh, was a cakewalk.
Oh, the
Army. Oh, the Army was a cakewalk. You and your family are well grounded. Yeah, the wonderful thing about either having 4 kids or going to 2 wars is that you really can't have a bad day. You know what I mean? It's like we've always had a lot worse. So it's like, yeah, what can you do to us? You know? Oh, Nick May, good friend from Denver there. Brenda, my oldest, Hayden, had Amy for a kindergarten teacher. He's a senior this year.
Yeah, see, I told you I'm friends with them.
You're a terrific role model. Thank you for the time and energy that you gave the kids.
So sweet. You're welcome.
Awesome. Isn't that great to hear that from people? Yeah. Joel Ramos, Boa tarde, my friend. Have a good afternoon. This is an awesome story. Yeah, we'll see you in a little bit, Palmer. We're coming down to get that beautiful new van you found me. And Nick May there. Let's scroll to try to catch up with the questions. Dustin Zapanzik, my good friend from Canada. Jeez, all right. There's a lot of agreement that Chris Mole is the best looking painter on the planet. So when do you think you'll make the restoration move to the farm? Nick Sebald. That's a good question. We're trying to get out there as quick as we can, but nobody's touched that farm in a long time, and we're trying to just it's better to have a record of a lot of bad things happen to your property than have no record of it, because then people have a lot of questions as far as the county goes. So we're just trying to make something out of nothing out there.
We live in one of the toughest counties for making changes to existing properties, so it's just a long, drawn-out process of getting permission to do the things that we want to do.
You know, we throw in a business too, and I never should have mentioned that to the county, but I wanted to do it the right way. You know, that's going to be our place for the rest of our lives, and it's perfect, and we want to do what's right. But even since we've started making our home plan, for Christmas I actually gave you the 3D model of our house eventually, really cool. And since I first started making that home plan, the building code has changed twice. Yeah, and it's just an interesting process when you want to build something new. Yeah. I wish to God there was just even something we could restore. You know, it would be so much easier. You know, so And Nick, Nick Sebald, he's a Saint Benedictine, and he actually just bought a house. I want to say Glencoe. It's not Glencoe, but beautiful farm. All the farm buildings, everything that we always wanted in a farm, he's got now. So Liam Chester's from across the pond there. I have 4 children myself and find it very hard in the early years working away from home. Have you as a family had these problems? You know, I go hard with work and then I turn it off and do family. So over the years, I basically made a promise to Amy, this is not going to fail. So in the beginning years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on Christmas morning, I will come do an estimate for you. I'll work on Christmas. Because there's 2 Slavic painting companies in New Prague, and if I failed, I'd have to move out. And I was taking you with me. Unless you were too ingrained, and you might have stayed then. I don't know. You may have liked New Prague. But I just didn't have a chance to fail. So I thought, you know what? No excuses. If this does fail, I don't ever want to look back and say, well, I could have done a little. I couldn't have done anything more. Yeah. And I know you felt that. Yeah, well, absolutely. I was basically a ghost. Yeah. I would leave before the sun comes up. The second I walked in the door, I fell on my face and slept. And then maybe on the weekends, you and I hung out. Yeah, not always. And I would I would work. Yeah, it was really hard, especially in the early years. But at that time, we only had, when it started, we had no kids. So it's slowly your plate is empty, and then it just kind of gets more full, but you just adjust. And so, the thought of him working that schedule now with 4 kids, I would that's just so overwhelming, and it would not work. But, back then when I just had 1 kid and I was taking care of, 1 kid or 2 kids, around the clock, and Nick was working all the time. It was tiring, but it's just what we had to do to keep moving forward. So, thankfully, the last couple of years, Nick's business has really changed. And so he's home a lot more, which is very noticeable. We notice him being home a lot more, and very helpful because our kids are just getting older, and I need him. I need him home to help with those responsibilities. So this would probably be a good time to get into, because I basically assumed I had no examples of success or successful painting businesses. Right. So I just figured that I'm going to paint, and I'm just going to paint a lot. Yeah. And hopefully I can find enough people to paint a lot. And my business model was, if you want to grow a painting business, you just paint more.
Yeah.
And that's not really the way to do it. It is the way to do it at the start.
Yeah.
And you earn your keep, and you get your street cred from that, from being in the trenches and putting in the hard work so that you're not leaving any variables. But then the reckoning happened, and I had 3 craftsmen. We were ultra profitable. We're knocking out projects. Easiest business in the world to run. I was turning away 4 times more work than I had. It was comfortable. I got lazy.
That was a huge step for you, taking on employees. That was huge, because Nick was just a one-man company for a long time.
So was my family business. My family business, their exit strategy was me paint.
Yeah.
There was no plans. There was no structure. There was no. I mean, it was the most regressive form of stuff. So I basically figured I was going to be painting the rest of my life. I didn't really know there was something out there. So I lost my 3 craftsmen in one short period of time, and then basically that was at about the same time I got introduced to the PDCA and other painters, and I got the glimpse, like the curtain got pulled back, and I'm like, oh my God, there's more. You can be a good person, you can have a successful business, and you don't have to do it all yourself. So over the last 2 years, I've been on this hell-bent quest to be a real business. And so what is it? What have the changes been? How have you felt it from your side of it?
Yeah, how have I felt?
What have you noticed?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's working all the time when he's not, out of the home working. He's working on stuff, at the dining room table, working on marketing and scheduling and other various things. But I don't know, losing my train of thought.
So I've slowly tapered back, because like we were saying before, 24 hours a day, every day of the year, fine. And then I made a series of small promises to you. Right away when I first started my company, you were like, no weekends.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. Something has to be done. We'll go out on a Saturday.
Right.
But I think I held pretty good to that first promise. And, so I stopped working weekends. Yeah. And then pretty soon you were like, well, what would have been the next thing? Like Friday evening estimates and stuff like that? Yeah. Because I would...
Or night. Probably what happened was, Monday, Tuesday nights, we had 2 different kids, had activities, different places, same time.
I think what the promise was, okay, I won't paint on the weekends, but I mean, come on, you got to do estimates on the weekend, right? So we used to load up the family and make the grocery trip.
I don't know, you guys, I don't even remember. I mean, it's been so many years and so many,
pretty soon, I was like, well, we'll take the hours down a little bit. Yeah. And then
this the estimates was the biggest one. It's just kind of, and that took some trial and error of how to get these estimates in, because you would do a full work day and then have his estimates on top of that, and that just didn't really leave a lot of time for family. So that was, he tried a few different ways for a good amount of time each, and then adjusted them and altered them and made them more efficient. And I think we're at I think we're at a pretty good place.
I think
with all that
for right now, and you have to understand that I always try to remind you that we're going to try to double our business this year. So this isn't like the rest of our life. This isn't the pace we go at. Right. So we sort of have to put our helmets on, put our heads down. And I think I've actually been tapering back on my hours while the push to double the business this year. So now I basically do all my estimates Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I default to day. And obviously, if I'm doing an estimate for a couple and they both work, you have to go in the evening. Yeah. But honestly, I've done pretty good with not doing evening estimates. Right. And the good thing is, we've synced up all our calendars now, Google Calendars.
Super helpful.
And now what's awesome is that she just puts stuff like, hey, we have these things tonight. She just puts it in my calendar. It's a non-issue anymore. Yeah. I'm always home. Yeah. Even if it's during a night, and just like all the other business owner, I always tell you, it'll all get done. Don't worry about it. Your people can wait another 12 hours for an estimate. Are you bored?
Yeah.
So, no, and I've been slowly tapering that down. And pretty soon, the next step for us, which I just talked to Art Snarzik, a good friend of mine, the next step for us is going to be somebody to come on and do sales with me.
Right.
So, right now, I have 30 appointments a week, and a good 25 of those are sales or color consulting. This week, I don't think I've told you this yet, but I've changed the way, we'll have our meeting tonight when we go on our date night, but I changed the way I do color consultations now, too. Okay. So I'm slowly removing that from my plate, And then the next step, by this next fall, I'm going to take somebody on to hopefully take half of the estimates off my thing, so then I can start visioning for the future of the business. So so that's going to be the next big step. I'll try to catch up with questions here. The questions are so great. Mohammed Salah, he's watching from Egypt. That's awesome. Yeah, Nick Sebald, isn't Scott County wonderful? Yep. This is Parker. Parker is an apprentice of mine who's actually coming back, our tallest apprentice, which is nice to have.
We want to check
so, this is awesome. Would you or your wife want to employ your kids? Fear of firing them. This is one of the main questions I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed? We have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. Knowing their personalities, knowing your wishes for them in the future, if all 4 of them join the family business, would you be disappointed?
No.
Would you be ecstatic?
I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's how I feel about it. If that's what they're truly passionate about and want to do, then I support that fully. If it's Nick making them go into the family business because that's what's best for him, then no, I don't want that for them. There's a good chance that at least one of our kids will be in the family business. If you ask our 2 oldest right now what they want to be when they grow up, amongst other things, painter is on their list.
Bakers,
painters.
And
maybe an author or something.
An author.
I don't really know. It changes. So, but yeah, Milo, I could totally see him.
He's the one that looks like me.
Yeah. I could totally see him following in your footsteps. He idolizes everything that you do. So I can see that.
So now we're into this weird position though. Like I idolize my dad, and then he sort of like took that for granted and didn't fully utilize whatever I could have provided.
Right.
So now I'm in this weird position of like with Surfer Boy, I'd have to talk him into it. He doesn't seem like, or maybe not.
I mean, he's 5.
But
so
now I have to be careful with our oldest boy, because it's like I would not be who I am today if I didn't do college and I didn't do Army. Now, not only because I saw the Middle East, but because I lived down south for a bunch of years. Like, you need these experiences so that you don't get this itch when you're 29 because you never saw the world or did anything.
Right. I think we'll definitely encourage them to explore other options, obviously.
Absolutely.
Encourage education, have something else to fall back on and pursue other interests. But if that's truly what they're passionate about and want to do, we're not going to turn them away, I don't think.
Well, what's funny is that and what's funny is that over the last couple of years, when I was laboring for 10 hours a day and doing estimates at night, I'm like, I wish I could use my brain to make some money too. Like, I feel like all I do is sit here and think all day, and I got lots of fantastic things to say, nobody to say them to, and so if you would have asked me then, like, hey, do you want all 4 kids you go into your business? You're like, I mean, it's a good living, and you take a lot of pride in it, but it's like, there's got to be something more.
But here's the thing. They're probably not going to be painting, I mean, maybe they will if that's what they want to do, but,
They're going to have to get over that.
Might have, there might be other aspects, advertising, accounting, management, be out there doing the estimates and color consults with you. There's going to be other positions for them to fulfill. So,
but I didn't see that. Back then. So then I would have been ambivalent. I would have been like, well, I don't know. It's awesome for me. I get a lot of immense satisfaction out of it. But now, if you ask me now, it's like, oh yeah, I want the same opportunities. Like, I've seen something beyond just me and a paintbrush. I see the apprenticeship program that we created and all these young people laughing and having fun and finding fulfillment. And I just got called a second dad last week by one of our people. Yeah. So it's like, all of a sudden, this is something like, we can do something more with this. We have the opportunities, and we were just thinking too small. So now it's like, oh, of course, it'll be here for them, and I hope they do something. It'd be nice, So, all right, let's sketch up here. Nick was actually supposed to close on his farm today. Got to wait the weekend, Christian, from what I see here, I have a feeling you guys would kill it in business. Yeah, especially if she was doing the sales. If I could get Tootse in front of my homeowners, man. Dustin, just tuned in. I already, if it hasn't been asked, would love to hear what your family goals are, how you manage your work and family life, and how you find the best to best support each other in your different roles. Dustin is one of the coolest guys I've ever met in the painting world. I have a couple of people that are very close. Dustin's we're probably the most simpatico up there. So why don't you take this one?
Well, did we cover? I mean, I feel like we covered
Family
some
goals.
of it already. Family goals. I think our number one family goal is to get out to the farm.
Yep.
Get out to the country.
We have a lot of things that
run.
We have a lot of things that we hold very dear, and it's not that our goal is not to build a house. Our goal is to be at the farm so the kids can open the door, and we have 20 acres of creek, pond, woods, prairie, tillable acreage, and we just want them to go out, get covered with burrs, mud in the face, all sorts of bug bites every day, all they want.
We joke about just ringing like a cowbell and telling them it's time to come in to eat. And
so that's, and we obviously have to have a house out there. Right. So that's sort of a step we have to take. The house isn't our goal. It's that we want to get out there when they're young enough so they can have a farm life, a wilderness life out there. So, and beyond that, honestly,
that's my drive behind everything. You know.
So I mean, okay, let's take this thought experiment farther. Like 10 years from now, we'll be living at the farm. Then what? What's our goal? What do we want?
Yeah, I don't know. What do we want?
You know what's funny is that I'm so entrenched in like growing the business, furthering the craft, starting up the apprenticeship program, furthering that, and trying to like build a house. Right. It's tough to see beyond that. Like we don't have these grand things of owning 6 homes and this and that. We want to be nimble. Yeah. I think we can both agree on that. We want our home place. We want it to be nice enough so our kids will always have a hub. Yeah. But you and I want to be nimble. Yeah. Like we want to go. Yeah. We want to do stuff. And I have a feeling that both of us are very interested in experiences. After we get our home base.
I guess my thoughts maybe go beyond 10 years, but that we just kind of want to be the hub for our family. We want, to provide just such a solid home-based foundation for them that even when they're grown and have families and kids, that they want to come back home and spend all those holidays with us and bring their families, and that we have the room and the space for everyone. We just kind of want to be that I don't know, what do you call it, that grounding, I don't know, glue that holds everything
we're the hub and the spokes go out, and we're all there. We're the rock in the center of it all. Right. So we have a lot of instability in families here and there, but it's just like we want like Home Alone when all the families come and stay with you and stuff like that. And that's really family. And basically just, I think when I think about even 10 or 20 years from now, like just making sure that our kids have opportunities or know that you can go live down in Georgia for a couple years to experience that, and it's not wasting years. Right. So it's I just want to provide opportunities for our kids forever. Yep. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Dustin, thank you so much, man. Oh, yeah.
Answer that, Dustin. What did you say?
Oh, they didn't answer that yet. Oh. Yeah. Kristen McCullum, we are a husband and wife team. We are ready to expand and hire. Where do you start when it came to finding your first employee? Decent human beings. Without having a plan, I was never really attracted to Generation X painters who had their own sort of culture and things like that, and they would come and we never really jived. Even if they could paint, it's just like, you're not understanding what I'm trying to do, and I wasn't a mature enough businessman to like reform these people, or maybe it's grandiose that I would think that I could reform these people. So I've stopped looking for painters altogether, and we've had awesome success. We look for, anybody who's seen one of my ads, all it says is we're looking for decent human beings. So Kristen, just find the most decent human beings around you and just start hiring. It's the easiest thing in the world. And again, looking back when we had one kid, we're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I would take one kid a million times over. We had it so easy. Now we have 4, somebody with 10s looking at 4 saying that's a piece of cake. I look at that same way when I had 4 or 5 employees, because it didn't change anything. I still put in the same amount of time to run the business. I still worked 10 hours a day painting, and I still had all these people around me, and whether I had them or not, I still would have had to work for 10 hours and run the business. Yeah. So honestly, it's a big investment to do that, but just if I had any advice, 2 people at a time. If you're going to train 2 people. And you know what? If you find these young millennials, zennials, and they're enthusiastic and they're decent human beings, they don't cost as much as the guy who won't roll over in bed for $28 an hour who's a painter and then comes with a bad culture. So you can get them for not that much money, and once you have 2 trained up, then you find the next 2, and those 2 become your crew leaders, and you keep expanding. But I've always thought, if you have 1, might as well get 2, because if you're going to train double that time, and it's not always going to work out, but it's fine. I mean, if the easiest thing to do is just do it, but hindsight's 20/20 as well. So, all right. Rob Grant, how can you 2 smile all the time? Well, look at her. Come on. Dustin, my wife and I sync our Google calendars too. It's the best.
Yeah,
it sounds so horrible. Like, oh, my wife put something on my calendar, but honestly, it's effective.
It's so helpful, especially
it's effective.
A lot that happens. Yeah.
Jason Paris is watching too. Jen Bond. Parker was in my 3rd grade class. He must have been like twice as tall as all the other 3rd graders. So, what a small world we live in.
Parker, did you know that? I don't know, Jen, were you married then? Maybe you had a different last name.
Keep up the great work and growth. Oh, Travis too. Travis is killing it up in northern Minnesota there. So, Rob Grant, where is your dad, Nick? He still lives in New Prague. Yeah.
Let's not talk about that.
Well, not talk about that. Is he still in the industry? Wasn't it? Chad, visions. They never stop. Build and expand. And yes, absolutely. Chad's another painter here, local fella. Emily Haynes, what's your favorite app? Snapchat. Muhammad, something I want to know from you and your wife.
Snapchats anymore. The kids.
Oh yeah, the kids communicate with us by
Instagram is where it's at.
Something I want to know from you and your wife. Do you accept the work of your husband when he came to propose to you? Sorry, the question is strange, but in Egypt, it's hard to find a girl who wants to marry a painting professional.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. Was there any stigma with being married to a manual labor? Or
No. We kind of talked about that earlier. It's funny because I just met Nick at a time. I was in college and I was pursuing elementary education. And so it was just such a natural time where I was coming into my own and I was choosing my profession and I was working towards that. So it just seemed so natural when I met Nick, and he just knew what he wanted to do. He had a plan laid out. I never questioned it because he knew what he wanted to do. He didn't question that I wanted to be a teacher.
So you were,
yeah.
Honestly, you probably have the same feelings about me, but when I met you, I was like, oh no, this is like a really substantial human. And it doesn't matter if you wanted to collect butterflies or something, I would have been like, yeah, whatever, it's Tootse, who cares? Like, she's going to be awesome at it, no matter what.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't mean to beg for a compliment, but you say one of the nicest things ever about me, why you like me.
And why I like you. What did I say? I know what I said, I'm just trying to sum it up into the right words. I just said that whatever Nick says he's going to do, he does. He makes a commitment and he makes it happen. So that was
you have no idea what a huge thing that is to me.
It could be something as small as like, we're going to go do this weekend, or someday we're going to take this vacation. Everything that Nick has ever wanted to do or set his mind on, he's made happen.
Which is huge.
So it's huge. It's a huge trait in people that, we all might have those dreams, but I know very few people who are willing to put in the effort to make them happen.
So if I was a rock collector, I'd still be out there making it happen. And hopefully you'd still love me then. Yeah.
I'd be putting them in display cases.
Yeah. All right. Nick Sebald, Surfer Boy, will become Davy Crockett when you move to the farm. Totally. Listen, this dude is like the mix of 8 worlds. He's got the Southern California hair. Yeah. He's got the overalls. He's got the coonskin hat.
Yeah.
He's just like a wild man.
Yeah.
He's a wild man.
He's happiest when he's free, and he needs to be a
especially
boy.
especially in frog season.
Yeah.
When frog season comes to the farm, he could.
Yeah. He's happiest just to be set free.
And he needs that too. He's a wild spirit, as they say. Liam Chester's from across the pond there. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. 2 boys, 2 girls. The boys, they used to work with me when they were younger. Don't like the prep work. My daughters work in marketing. The other girl's a nurse. 2 boys, 1 engineer, and the other an electrician. Very proud.
Awesome.
Oh, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Adam Weisside, a good friend. Sarah Perryman, she's a Saint Benedictine who now lives in St. Paul, and she has a blog about restoring her house too. She's an old house person. So, are you going to sell the house in town, or maybe keep it for a rental? I would imagine it would be easy to rent for the serious shortage. We've explored all options. I've even, because my apprentices are the greatest humans on earth, I would always approach them first if we were going to get rid of the house. Because that house is, we've even talked about moving that house.
We have. Yeah, I don't think we would rent it. I think it would be too hard to watch someone else live in it and not take care of it, because we have invested so much of our lives in that house. So I think we would sell it. We would sell it,
and I would certainly approach our friends and our apprentices first, and I've even had one of my apprentices approach me and just say, "Hey, Mr. Slavik, if you're ever getting rid of your house, I know it's going to be a good one."
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
And for a young couple, you couldn't ask for a better.
Right.
It's not a tract apartment. It's not a crappy thing. It's those old houses are different.
Right.
They feel different.
Right. I agree.
Great for a young
I don't think we
family.
want to add landlords to our daily to-do list.
Unless you want to take that on, slumlord Toots. Trying to get on late, but signal is real spotty. Hey, no problem, Derek. Derek's a good friend of mine from there too. Christian McCullum, thanks so much for the advice. Absolutely, man. Happily, Katya, that's my right hand man's fiance. Yeah. Jen Bond, I think I may have gotten married that year. He was super tall.
She's talking about Parker.
Yep, I totally can picture him as a third grader.
Hi,
Trevor. You want to read this one?
Okay. How do you manage to balance building a business, continuing education, and self-development while still having time with the kids? Oh, yeah, and your spouse asking for a friend. Well, Trevor, you should be answering this for us. Oh, my God, yeah.
Trevor, we should be asking.
You do it.
Trevor's a high school friend of mine. He's also like one of the highest ranking dudes in the Army ever. Yeah. Which is amazing.
In dental school.
And he's going to dental school.
And he's married.
He's having babies and all this other stuff. And it's just like, dude, we should be asking you how that works.
Build a business, continuing education. Well, Nick did not go to school while he was building his business. He went to school after the Army and then came home, or then, came to join the family business. And then that all happened and then started off. So he wasn't juggling school and a business at the same time. Self-development. So.
Well, and you know what's funny, Trevor? The biggest thing that I found is that I got super intentional with my time. So I break my day up into 3 8-hour days. And if you assume you have to sleep for 8 and work for 8, you got 8 hours. Most people have 8 hours in the day where they really don't do anything with. So I'm super intentional with that, with what I call the third 8. And in the past bunch of years, I basically said it's business and it's family. And during the week, I basically don't do anything for myself, Right. But the good thing is, I love my business. Right. I cannot wait to get up in the morning to do it. So it's not tough.
Right.
If I had to force myself, it'd be different. But then come the weekend, done, and then super intentional with that time too. And not only just there, but we try to do stuff too. Yeah. Most of the time. Right. So yeah, the best thing you can do is just get super intentional with your time, even if it's I want to say books on tape, Audible, podcasts and stuff like that. Back in the day, for 10 years, I've had 10 hours a day where I was painting, and I had all that time to do something, and I've been a podcast guy since day one, since I had a generic MP3 player. And so now, all those years, if you take 10 years, 3,000 hours a year, listening to podcasts and books and stuff, that's a huge help. And I would not be where I am today if I hadn't listened to all that stuff. Yeah. And I can cram a lot of that in while I'm just doing book work or anything else too. So, but Trevor, we love Trevor because he's going to be a dentist, and then we're getting all free dental work for our kids. So our kids are going to have a whole bunch of busted up choppers and stuff like that. So, Parker, that was the year Mrs. Bond got married. That's funny. Dustin got to run. Anytime, man. You're great. We'll have to do another. Dustin did a live with me, so I bet we'll scroll to the bottom here, catch up here, and Clayton Feria. Hey Nick, what's up, buddy? Brazilians? Oh yeah, absolutely. Bom dia, everybody down there. Yes. Hal Ferreira, thank you for watching, my friend. Oh, Clayton Feria. Nick, do you want to hire me? If you show up here in Minnesota, you're hired. You're hired. I have an open invitation to everybody. People, when I post ads about my apprenticeship, they're like, oh man, I'm in Alabama. I wish I was there. Well, if you show up here, If you show up here, you get an apprenticeship. So, Lucia, thank you very much. Let's go. Christian McCollum, podcasts are the best. Have you listened to JLD? You'll have to kind of tell me what that. Oh, Entrepreneurs on Fire. I've heard of that one. It's not one that I currently listen to. I have like 75 podcasts that update every day, and now that I've moved out of the field and into the entrepreneurship side, I find myself having less and less time for that stuff. So I don't get to catch up near as much, but like, Masters of Scale and, Tim Ferriss and all that other stuff. I try to catch up, but it's tough. So, Christian, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you watching here. Thanks for us today. You guys have been brilliant. Enjoy your weekend. No problem. All right, everyone. Well, we're caught up. Toots, is there anything else? Anything else? Should we read through our...
Is there anything else?
What's the questiones here?
Is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think we got it.
I think we're good.
I think that's it. That's a good break, Toots. Anything else you want to say to the whole world?
It was nice to be on here today. If you guys do have other questions, just put them in the comments and we can answer them later too.
You were so nervous. You're such a natural.
I was really nervous.
Now, listen, if this is my highest rated episode ever, I'm done with this. She's taking this over.
Oh my gosh, no.
I like that. So, everybody, kindest thing you can do is share this. We are going to pick up a new company van from Palmer. So, Palmer, ready the van. We're on our way. And then you and I are taking the rest of the day off and going to do something.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We don't know what yet.
We don't know what.
We'll
find something. We'll get in our new van. And we'll go do something.
Our kid-free, car seat-free van.
Our kid-free, car seat-free van. There's no goldfish crackers crushed up into the seats.
So bad.
So, everybody, share the show if you can. Thank you so much for watching. And anything you guys want to know, if you got any questions, if you got any topics for us, if you want to see Toots on here again, let us know. And have a good weekend. Happy Easter, everybody.
Bye, guys.